Riveting content. Empowering your life. Welcome to The Sphere. This episode is sponsored by Houston Housewives of Finance. For more information on increasing your cash flow, becoming your own money manager, and to schedule your complimentary personal finance strategy, contact the Houston Housewives of Finance today at 1-844-700-4463.
The Sphere Network. Looking to advertise? Join the Sphere's vast demographic reach of thousands of people all over the world. Send an email today at advertise@thesphere.tv or call us at area code 832-772-7789. Elite Dental Wellness. At Elite Dental Wellness, Dr. Ashandra Baptiste understands that one of the biggest obstacles is dental fear. The vision at Elite Dental Wellness is to ensure every patient is treated with respect, ultimate care, patience, and love. Call us today to make an appointment at area code 713-789-8680.
Hi, welcome back to InJustice on the Sphere TV network. I am your co-host here, Alicia Ford. You can find me on Alley on Sphere. Haven't seen you guys in a while. Pretty excited. But I'm also excited to introduce you to my co-host, ma'am.
Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Attorney Kyra Coffee here. You guys can find me on Instagram at attorney_coffee, and that's COFFEY. So today we do have a little bit of a short show. So let's go ahead.
I guess we're going to get started.
And jump right in. So we're going to start off on the East Coast in New York. And the New York governor gives paroled felons the right to vote by executive order. And this happened mid-April, but we think that it's definitely something that needs to be talked about and discussed. So Governor Andrew Cuomo has issued an order by invoking Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution authorizing the governor to grant pardons. The order allows paroled felons to be considered for a conditional pardon that restores their voting rights. A list of individuals have been submitted to the office, and so pretty much this is not giving the rights for them to carry firearms again, to run for public office, doesn't relieve them of any financial duties relating to the conviction or seal the record of conviction. But it does give a great number of paroled New Yorkers who are active participants in their communities and should be allowed to voice their opinions about issues concerning their communities and themselves and their families. So this restores that restriction that was on them and not impacting them the right to vote. So I think that it is a great move by Governor Cuomo. I think that other governors should follow in this lead and giving them the rights. I don't really understand the initial connection with taking that right off the table and saying that just because you are a felon or parole felon that you can no longer vote. I never really understood the connection between that. So restoring that right, I think, is a great move on his behalf. So kudos to Governor Cuomo. I think, and I do want to reiterate that this is for paroled felons. So paroled felons, so it's not saying while they're still serving their time, they have the right to vote. It's once they've served their time, they're back in the communities that are being impacted by certain rights, that they are now given this right to be an active participant in society. Which I think kind of goes back to even though, let's be clear, our correctional quote-unquote facilities do not rehabilitate or anything as they are supposed to. But I do think that this is a step to at least give that person their dignity back as an active citizen and allowing them to vote, because we strip so many rights away from people once they were supposedly served their time and done their due diligence in giving back to society. So this is just a step to actually say, hey, we agree that you've done it, and if nothing else, you should have a say in the rights that impact you on a day-to-day.
I mean, I Completely agree. Just because, I mean, so I think the biggest premise is you've served your time.
Exactly.
You have served your time. There is no more that you can do
Exactly.
for the society in restitution because you've lost time, you've lost years, or how much ever long you've had to be incarcerated or, you know, in jail or whatever.
Right.
Well, incarcerated. And so, and now, I mean, your debt's paid.
Right.
And there's no reason why you should not be able to now be an active participant in society in that regard, especially for people that are making the laws,
right.
You know, which may or may not have put you in jail in the first place or prison in the first place. And especially if, I mean, there's a meme going around, I don't know if you've seen it, where it's the guys on the toilet and he's counting down the days that he was in for marijuana, and then he's holding the paper and it's saying marijuana is now legal. You know, and so when we think about those kind of, I mean, it should make everybody think. And so there's no reason why, I mean, you know, that person who has again served their time should not be able to get out and vote for people who will understand the dynamic in our changing culture, and hopefully they'll choose to elect people who will help influence and help change our criminal justice system and not just keep reelecting the same people. And I think the burden is also on us to make sure that these felons or people who have served their time have also, they actually exercise this right, you know, and we don't get a group of people for the sake of saying we have a group of eligible voters, but they're not voting, which could be tragic. You know, it is tragic if they are and they're not voting. So I'm excited at the possibility of what it presents and what it means and what we need it to mean. I just, you know, I hope that, you know, the community activist gets them out there, that there's not going to be too much pushback on this, because we know there's going to be pushback on it because the midterms are so critical. And I just hope, you know, I've decided to stop living in like, look what they did again, and start living in like hope, you know, and so. And this is giving me hope that at least in New Jersey, that these people, I mean, New York. I'm sorry. See, I really was like, Alicia, I don't think you're in the right state. That in New York, they could be, you know, they can do something that's so important for, you know, the community and its citizens.
And I think it's also really commendable. And I don't want to say commendable, because when someone is doing their job, I don't feel like they should get additional praises. But I do want to at least acknowledge that Cuomo explained that the previous restriction on paroled individuals had a disproportionate racial impact that affected representation of minority populations in their communities. And so we're aware of how zoning and grouping works when it comes to voting, and how that is very, very important. So if they're doing it in a way that communities where a large portion of the people who live in those communities are being incarcerated and or they come back out, you know, they don't have the right to vote, that impacts the voting power of those people. So trying to not only give those who were incarcerated a voice, but also trying to give a larger voice to those communities as a whole who are impacted by these laws that we all know, you know, have a disproportionate minority tendency to lock up some versus others. So, or not even just lock them up, but give them a more felon charge versus a misdemeanor and things like that. So I did really think that this is a good step. I hope that other states and other governors, you know, kind of take the lead behind Cuomo in this.
We hope.
Since, like you mentioned, the tendency towards marijuana charges is now, you know, it's becoming legal. So the fact that a lot of these people who have these felon charges are incarcerated or were incarcerated because of, you know, illegal actions with regards to marijuana. So if our culture is now legalizing the thing that made them
go to jail in the first
place, right? Why not give them that power to, you know, now vote? I feel like it's only the least we could do.
The least.
So hopefully this is an ongoing trend. But New York, you know, which has a large minority population, definitely a good step for them. So before we jump into our next topic, this portion of the show is sponsored by Houston Housewives of Finance. Did you know that only 4 states in the United States offer financial education? 33% or more than 77 million of Americans don't pay their bills on time. 39% of Americans carry credit card debt from month to month. and 39% of adults say that they do not have enough savings. Don't become one of these statistics. Let Houston Housewives of Finance advise you on increasing your cash flow and becoming your own money manager by scheduling your complimentary personal financial strategy. Contact Houston Housewives of Finance today at 1-844-700-4463 or email them at info@houstonhousewivesoffinance.com. Ask them how you can participate in a complimentary financial literacy workshop near you. Houston Housewives of Finance are the new faces of the new age of financial services. So now that we've talked about that great justice or injustice that is somewhat trying to be corrected, another great update that I saw today is regarding Cyntoia Brown. And if some of you are not familiar with her initial story, she was sentenced to life for murdering a man who kind of trapped her into prostitution and sex trafficking at the age of 16. So a lot of people, celebrities, have gotten behind her and trying to get her released and whatnot. So now she has been granted a clemency hearing, which is a great thing, and it's on the federal level. So I do want to say that, I don't want to give this man any type of kudos, but this has to have been granted by Trump. A clemency hearing on the federal level has to be granted by the president, whereas if it's on the state level, it has to be granted by the governor. And when she tried to go before the state level, the governor denied it. So many know Cyntoia Brown, who, like I said, who was charged with murdering a man who picked her up at 16 and was being, and he had her for sex trafficking, is now receiving a clemency hearing. Cyntoia Brown, who is now 30, has served 13 years in prison for the 2004 murder of a real estate agent, Johnny Allen, who was 43 at the time. After running away from her adopted family, Brown was living in a motel with a pimp named Cutthroat, and he was the one who was responsible for her kind of going into the lifestyle of prostitution and whatnot. It came to a point where she killed him, and that was what she felt was her only way of freedom outside of that situation. Many were sympathetic to her situation. Some even classified it as self-defense in the grand scheme of things. And unfortunately, the jury or the judge, I don't know what kind of trial she had, they deemed her guilty, and she was sentenced to life in jail. So now that she has this clemency hearing, pretty much what a clemency hearing is that she goes before a higher court. In this case, I believe it'll be the Supreme Court, and they will rehear her trial and see if, if her situation is in fact one where they should grant forgiveness, if they feel like it was an unjust situation. So it's pretty much saying, okay, we've heard your story. Yes, you were found guilty, but looking at the totality of it, you served enough of your time, and we do feel that this really wasn't a black and white, cut or dry type of situation. So that is very hopeful. She will go for oral hearings or arguments on June 14th. So, like I said before, the governor initially declined her clemency, which is really weird because he was in his last year. And normally, when a governor is in their last year,
they just give them
they
away.
grant all kind of clemency hearings because they're not up for re-election. It's like, hey, I'm on my way out the door anyway, so they're more lenient to do so. He didn't, but I'm glad that now Trump actually did it. Grant this hearing. So
I don't even think this is probably PR. But for Trump, so I'm not going to give him too much credit because he doesn't deserve it. But I will say that I am glad that they're finally taking the time to look at this case again and see what may or may not have happened, because as far as I'm concerned, you're 17. Like, this child was 17 when this, and so that means this process started before she was 17 as an adolescent.
Exactly.
And so I can't sit here and say to myself, hey, this is the correct thing that should be happening, with her, because if you're being sentenced to jail at 17, that means you're going through the system at least for a year before that. That means she was probably 16 when it happened, which means she was probably in the lifestyle at least by 14 or 13. This is a child who has grown up abused, sex trafficked, drugged, prostituted out. And, and it happens every day in every city, unfortunately. And, somebody... And first of all, and she had an awful pimp. Not that I know about pimping, but I would never let somebody pick my person up and take them to their house. I'm said you need to go
So
to this
somewhere
room.
that- yeah.
I mean, guys, I'm not trying to get into the business, but what I'm saying is that this person obviously didn't care for her, and she was expendable. She was an asset. He didn't even see her as a human. And I'm glad somebody finally sees her as a human now to see that she's done enough. I mean, she probably was drugged, didn't even know what was going on, probably woke up, didn't know. And I'm sorry, if you're being attacked, and I can say this. She probably, the first thing she did, because this is a cycle of abuse.
Right.
So she was probably used to this at this point.
Right.
Something must have gone really wrong.
Right.
You know, for her to even think. One, for her to start carrying a gun.
Right, exactly.
And then for her to think, this man is
I
about to
needed to.
kill me.
Exactly.
So I can't even say what, what may have gone on at that time.
Right.
But she was 17 at the time. Well, probably 16 at the time it happened. So,
and let me clarify, because I did misspeak on something, and this is why reading multiple articles is good, because the first article I read, I'm saying now, was wrong, and that this is going before the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals in Cincinnati, and it is because the governor granted it, and so it's not up to the parole board, but it is up to the recommendation of Governor Bill Haslam, who is in his last year this year. So the first article I read had that all the way backwards. But that is why reading is fundamental, and reading multiple articles.
Well, and I was just like, I was super confused when you said Trump was going to do anything for anybody of color.
Yes.
Other than tell us that we need to know. So I'm glad that they're finally doing this, that they're allowing her to get what she needs, which is a fair chance at living at least some semblance of a life at this point, because she's only 30.
And if she were not granted it, and if, let's say, worst case scenario, she has to live out her entire sentence, she would not be eligible for parole until she were 69.
Jesus.
So she would have a life sentence, but they did give her the eligibility of parole, but not until she's 69 years old. And at that point,
who are these jurors?
I have no clue. This was in Tennessee, so
okay.
I have no clue.
I don't have it in me, y'all. I wish I did, but there are certain things that I don't. And this case ain't one of them. Like, there's no way that you should be charged. You should be sending a 17-year-old who ran away from a foster home. So she didn't even have a family,
right, to begin with.
So she was already. Let me just say, she was already 2 steps behind the average child. Yeah. So, I can't even, whatever heartless monsters, I hope you see this, that assign this poor child life. I can't, you're not going to keep abusing women and think it's okay,
But on the good note, she is up for clemency, so we're hoping that all goes well with that. We'll definitely keep you guys updated on how that progresses. We have to wait until June 14th, but that's right around the corner. So
that's in 2 days, and the wait time.
I know. So, so they'll hear oral opinions before the Sixth Circuit Court, and they agreed to hear the clemency. Yeah, so hopefully this goes well for her. We'll keep you guys updated. But for today, that is all we have for you guys. Until next Monday, of course.
Yes.
And if you haven't caught up on all of our old shows, you can do so. We're on Stitcher. Where are we on?
SoundCloud, iTunes,
some everywhere.
Stitcher Plus, Google Play, all of there. I should have did an ad on that, and this is kind of the ad on here now. Contact the Sphere if you want to, call us today at area code 832-772-7789 or send an email to advertise. Remember, we are on all the social media platforms: iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher. And there's a vast demographic reach. So it's not just us. There are thousands of shows that you can all participate in, enjoy, learn something new about. And again, my name is Alicia Ford. I am your host here today, co-host here today at InJustice at the Sphere TV. And also, who am I going to take out with?
Hi, guys. As you already know, it's Kyra Coffee here. You can find me on Instagram at attorney_coffee. And before we go, I just want to let you guys know that one of our great sponsors is Elite Dental Wellness. At Elite Dental Wellness, their vision is to create a welcoming practice that will offer exceptional dental care and a lifetime of dental wellness. They are committed to the finest possible oral care and the overall health and well-being of their patients. Elite Dental Wellness is built upon a foundation of integrity, expertise, and service. Through their commitment to modern dentistry, continuing education, and a friendly atmosphere, they strive to make their patients feel that they are part of the family. Dentistry can be scary, daunting, and uncomfortable, but Dr. Battiste and her team work tirelessly to ensure your comfort. Make your appointment today with Dr. Ashandra Baptiste at Elite Dental Wellness by calling 713-789-8680. And on that note, guys, see you next week.
We'll see you next time.
I got like
20 minutes. Almost on the